story time. There are too many people in creative businesses who are really feeling like they have imposter syndrome or are not good enough, not being themselves authentically, maybe trying to copy what other people are doing, even if they don't intentionally know it. And I'm just gonna say it. It's time to start creating for ourselves, to start really valuing who we are and what we bring to the table as creative business owners. So if you would like to know how I came to this epiphany, how I've learned how to have more confidence in myself as a small business owner and creative, then this is the video for you. Let's go. Story time. Okay, so if you do not know my story, I am Ashley Rodriguez. I'm with Garden Grace Florals here on our channel, and I talk about all things floral design business, creative business, growing my business, floral design, floral tutorials. And one thing that I don't share as much about on the channel, though I do have some videos about, just a few about kind of how I started in floral design and what kind of motivates me in this business, I thought today would be a really good time to share more about my background, specifically in business and large scale capital campaign fundraising, which is the world I came from before I went full time with this business, because I learned so much about how to be confident in myself and to use that confidence in my business. And so I just want to share a little bit about that with you today, about my story. I'm hoping that it will motivate you wherever you are in whatever stage of your growing your business, to feel more confident in yourself and to know that you absolutely have this and that you don't have to be like anybody else. You can just be yourself, and it's wonderful and perfect and exactly what the world needs. Without further ado, I will share a little bit about my background. I was a first generation college student. I grew up, my parents were so loving and really wanted to make sure I understood that I could do anything I wanted after graduating from college. And often creative fields are seen as not being as lucrative financially. And so I really grew up with that mindset. And when I graduated from college, even though I had worked for a florist to help pay for my college, I learned so much during that time. And I realized then that I just loved flowers. I wanted to work with them. I felt at that time that I wouldn't be able to make the kind of money that I wanted to with a 4-year college degree. So I went into more of the kind of nonprofit fundraising world. And at that time, I thought that really was my dream job. I ended up getting a master's degree and working 15 years in higher education and fundraising for tier 1 research institutions. And so did a lot of, though, ultimately, especially in the last 10 years, capital campaign fundraising, which meant multi-million-dollar deals for individuals who wanted to support a well-known college in the state of Florida. And I really loved being able to help people with that fundraising job. I also ultimately knew that throughout that period of time when I was growing that business, that I really loved floral design and that I wanted to ultimately have my own business doing that. So I grew my side business while working a full-time job and raising 3 kids into what it is today, so that I can be full-time doing floral design, which I'm so grateful for that I have been able to do that. And I have worked many hours to do that. And over the course of those 15 years, growing my sense of self in the business world, really, right? It was more like a corporate kind of business environment in that capital campaign fundraising role. I learned so much about confidence, women in kind of the business world, where I felt my place was. And so specifically, as I became a manager in an executive director type of role and really worked my way up, was managing a lot of people, and people were looking up to me. And while also I had to carry a fundraising portfolio and fundraise as well as managing others, I began to see kind of cracks in the system of where, when I was a younger woman in business, not that this only happens to women for sure, but as a younger woman in business, and I do think it happens to a lot of women, I remember being told that I was very nurturing and kind and so sweet. I'm sweet, Ashley. And I just always have people's best interests in mind. But it was always with a tinge of not maybe being as strong or confident or business savvy as I could be. That's how I always kind of internalized it. But as I continued to excel and grow, and then when I became a manager and started managing other people, what I realized, especially in the last few years before I finally called it quits, was I was actually being asked often. I think I, for example, probably had to terminate the most number of employees of any other person in leadership or close to it while I was there. And often I would be asked to do that because I would be willing and able to eloquently and gracefully and tactfully have very difficult conversations. And what I realized over the course of those years, doing that more and more, was that actually that quiet confidence and that self-assuredness and that kind, graceful way that I tried to approach my life for myself too. I'm not just saying this. I really do try to be that way in life. And I think it's a good way to try to be. Nobody's perfect. But by doing that, I had inherently, I understood that people around me felt safe and felt comfortable and also understood what they needed to do, and that I would let them know if I needed to redirect them. But it was always coming from a place of their best interest. And so ultimately, I was able to have those conversations because I held myself to a certain standard, and I was happy, if need be, for the betterment of other colleagues or the organization, to have difficult conversations. And that really helped me understand that for a lot of, especially creative people, I think we're often maybe labeled sensitive, or we care so much about others. We have so much empathy. And those can be seen as negative things. Or maybe we're shy. I was very shy growing up. And what I realized was maybe that was actually a superpower for me. Like even though I had been told for many years that those things maybe weren't the things that would get me ahead, I was getting ahead and I was doing it really well. And then also people respected me and I was really good at my job. So I learned to be more trusting of myself. And finally, in those last few years of having great success in that kind of business space and understanding I didn't have to shrink myself all those years, I could just be me. And how empowering. Then I really realized I want to be in floral design and design beautiful things and have a business of my own and make it profitable. So that brings us to now, where I have a YouTube channel with 10,000 plus subscribers. I'm so grateful for that, by the way. Thank you for watching this video. And I hope that it's helpful. And I realized, I also, again, in another video I share, I also had a pretty traumatic facial injury from a dog bite when I was very little. And I had a lot of scarring, a lot of surgeries. Sometimes getting in front of the camera is also just a little bit more challenging for me from a mental health perspective, depending on how I feel that day. So what I've realized is I am confident in what I want to share in business and the creative world and in floral design, and it brings me joy. And so inherently I want to share that with others, because I think if it brings me joy and I can share what I know with you, and then that brings you joy, that makes me so happy. Even when I was in the kind of that more corporate fundraising world, my favorite thing was to manage other people and to teach them. So that's kind of what I see what I'm doing now after growing and learning in the floral design field all these years later, learning what I did in college, but then continually having education while I grew my business. After that point, 15 years later, I now love sharing all that I've learned with others. I don't want it to take you 15 years if you want to start your own floral design business. I want you to know how you can do your own flowers for your wedding, if that's what you want to do. I like sharing those things with other people, and I do feel that that's a bit of my calling now, and I'm so grateful for that. But all that to say, if you're struggling with confidence in your own business, I want you to just keep in mind that we all have a different story. I wanted to share mine with you today because I think it's helpful just in understanding my viewpoint on this. But we are all so unique. There is no one else like us in this world. And so wouldn't it be a shame if we all shrunk ourselves or didn't make the leap and do the thing that we wanted to do because we thought other people thought a certain way of us? In my case, people thought I was shy and just so kind and loving, but maybe not super business savvy or couldn't make the tough decisions. Well, but I did, despite what other people maybe thought. And I did it well and I excelled. And so now feeling that strength in myself, I'm like, so empowered. Like I want to shout it from the rooftops to anybody that needs to hear. So if you're finding this video today and you need to hear it, I hope it's wonderful and motivating, because just being yourself and sharing whatever you feel compelled to share because you want to, because it brings you joy, because you think other people will benefit from it, you should absolutely do that. If it is a business model or a new venture that you want to bring into the world and birth creatively or from a business perspective, then you should absolutely do it if you want to do it. And there may be setbacks, there may be struggles. It may take you a while to do it. That doesn't mean that it's not worth doing. So if you are feeling like you're having a bit of a struggle finding that confidence in yourself, just remember why you're doing it. Again, I think thinking about what brings you joy, thinking about what excites you is always the right move, and focusing on those things is always basically the right path within reason. I think if it's financially risky, you obviously need to keep that in mind. But if it's just starting from scratch, maybe as a small side business, or a large business, if you think through it and feel that you could potentially find a way, then you should try to find a way if you really want to do it. So all that to say, I, again, am so grateful for you letting me share my journey with you. I hope this is inspiring to you if you are struggling with finding your confidence. Moral of the story is just be yourself and appreciate that being you is so unique that you need to share it with the world, whatever it is that you want to share in your business. So I hope if you are interested in floral design, you'll stick around for some floral tutorials and subscribe. But we are also going to be doing a lot more of these type of educational and creative business type of conversations, because that to me also is something that means a lot to me and I want to share with you. So anyway, from the Floral Studio to you, I hope you have a great rest of the day. Good luck and continue being yourself. It's really important. The world needs it right now. Bye.